Hey guys. Well,
are we starting?
No one's even signed on yet. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
it's 10:57. I'll start our Instagram. Oh, go Islander. Went to the Clippers. That's okay. I still love them.
For anyone watching the playback on this, we are going to start in about 2 minutes.
Yes. Video. Is that wrong?
I think go home. Look at this. And then
Melissa Ramos.
Why do we start?
There we go. All right. Oh, yay. We have some people. Good morning, everyone. Or good afternoon, probably. We're in we're on the Pacific. We're on Pacific time?
Pacific Standard Time.
Pacific Standard Time. So we're probably, it's 11 o'clock here. So it's probably afternoon everywhere else. We're just starting the Instagram as well. Woo! All right. So hello and welcome. Good morning. Good afternoon. Today, we're talking about holistic tampon alternatives or holistic menstrual methods and practices and products and things like that. So yeah, hi, good morning. Hi. Yeah, so do you want to give us a little start off? This is something that Sarah is particularly passionate about. She actually has a video coming this Friday. There's a whole video on tampons, toxins, and
your yoni.
And your yoni, that's what it's called. And so it's coming, so she'll give even more info there, but we thought we'd preview it with this live.
Yeah, so on Friday, I have a video coming out all about common toxins found in our tampons and 3 reasons why I feel like we should avoid and stay away from conventional tampons altogether. So that's coming out on Friday. But in this live, I wanted to talk about alternatives because just to keep the video sort of timely, I don't really go over it in our video that we're posting. So today we wanted to talk about some of our favorite alternatives for tampons and some of our not so favorite alternatives for tampons.
Yeah.
And what we've tried and share our own personal experience. So yeah, I guess it's...
Go ahead.
Go. Yeah.
Number 1.
So my personal experience with my period, I got my period at a young age. I was still in elementary school. I wasn't even in high school yet when I got my period. And at first I used pads and then I transitioned into tampons, and just like anything, learning to use a tampon can be really uncomfortable. I also have this really weird thing where I just hate the feeling of cotton. So
She does. She gets freaked out when I even talk about it. Just continue.
Yeah, so I hate the texture of cotton. It is my least favorite texture on this planet. So the sensation of pulling out a tampon that maybe wasn't completely absorbed with moisture, I don't know how to describe it. I hated it. So I kept using tampons because I didn't really think I had another option unless I wanted to use a pad, and I found pads really uncomfortable, especially for playing sports or anything along those lines. And then when I studied nutrition, I took this course called Nutrition and the Environment, and we learned about common toxins and chemicals found in our household products. And I actually had to write a research paper on dioxins, and that's when I learned about tampons and bleaching process that tampons undergo, and not only the bleaching process, but the farming process of the cotton crop itself, which I'll talk about in my next video. So I got off school one day after learning about this, and I walked to Whole Foods and I purchased my first menstrual cup.
Yay.
And since purchasing my first menstrual cup, that was back in 2016, I've not used a single tampon since. However, just like learning to use a tampon when I was in like the 6th or 7th grade, I had to learn how to use this menstrual cup. So a couple of my classmates had used them. I was texting them, I was talking to them about it, and I was sitting on the toilet reading the instructions on how to use my menstrual cup. And it took me forever. And then I finally got it inside. It was not the most enjoyable experience. I honestly never thought I would want to use it again. And then I put it in. Everything was great. And I was like, man, this feels awesome, because I couldn't even feel it. every once in a while you'll have a tampon in and you'll jump or something and you can kind of feel it slide out a little bit, especially if it gets a little bit more heavy. It's not always so secure. And I've had my Diva Cup in, I was jumping up and down and it didn't fall out and I was so excited. And then it was time to take it out. And I had no effing clue how to take this thing out. I could not reach it. I would push and then I would squeeze and I would miss it and I would pinch my vagina. And it was very hard. I remember feeling like it was too tight. And I remember at one point even putting lube on my fingers to try and like insert it up to try and grab my Diva Cup, but then my fingers got too slippery and I couldn't get it out. And then I sat in the bath to try and relax myself and open my legs to try and get my Diva Cup out and push. And then finally, I don't know why it took me so long, I just grabbed a mirror and I held it down there and I pushed. And when I saw the little thing, I grabbed it and I pulled it out. After that experience, I never thought I'd want to use my Diva Cup again, but I did, and I'm so glad that I did, because just like a tampon, you have to find what works for you for putting it in and taking it out. And then for me, it was for the first little while just using a mirror when it was time to take it out. So when you push, you can see it. Because a Diva Cup, any menstrual cup is like a suction cup. So when you put it inside, it's going to suction up to your cervix and it's going to catch all of the blood. So you start to push it out and then you relax a little bit and then it'll just go straight back up. So you kind of have to pull it right at the right time. So that was my experience. We both teach aerobics. Every time I'd have my menstrual cup in, I've never had any accidents with it falling out. It felt, when it's in properly, you shouldn't be able to feel it, and it feels really secure. And if you can feel it, it's probably not in properly.
Mm-hmm. That's a great alternative, though. So the reason why that's probably one of the number one alternatives to tampons is that it's still internal. So people who don't like having pads or something in their underwear, or feeling that and feeling like they're wearing a diaper or like moist, they can, it's still something that's internal, but it's like super safe material. I think most of them are made with either elastomer, which is like the thing that they wrap like pacemakers in. So it's stuff that is material that's designed to sit in the body for like extended periods of time. So it's really safe material. It's not going to be leaching out toxin or anything into the system. It goes up, it's safe to stay in the body, well, like I just said, for like really long time. So you can leave it up there for 12 hours. You don't even have to change it as much as a tampon. It suctions around the cervix, so that it doesn't leak, or it shouldn't leak when inserted properly, and you can just bleed right into the cup. The most difficult part is insertion and taking it out. It takes some getting used to. I used a Diva Cup for years, which is I think it's the most mainstream menstrual cup. We're going to talk about it. There's a couple other brands that are great. And the first time I ended up enjoying it a lot. The first time I took it out, it took a bit of time. And then once I got it, I was like, this is amazing. Like, look at all my blood. Like, I felt very powerful, actually. Lots of people don't like seeing it. I think it's empowering and fantastic to actually look at what your body is doing and can create. And I think it's wonderful. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the reason I stopped using my menstrual cup was I got an IUD, and my doctor had suggested not to, just because because it is suction to your cervix. If you don't break that seal properly when you're removing it, it can suck the IUD out, and you don't want that. And it can also, the strings of an IUD hang out at the cervix, and so they can also be bumped and shifted, which can cause damage to the uterine lining. So they say for the first 6 months of a new IUD, it is safest to just not use a Diva Cup or a menstrual cup. And then after 6 months, it becomes more stable in the uterus. It becomes more fixed in its position. So it becomes much safer to begin using it again. So I did try to start using it again after the 6 months. And for whatever reason, I actually found that my cervix was much more sensitive and tender. Not for whatever reason. It had a very invasive procedure. I had, like, having an IUD inserted does not feel great. It's safe. And, there was some like trauma there. And I think it just I became that much more aware of my cervix. Before, my cervix was numb, and now I was just so much more aware of it. When I put the cup on, I could feel the suction. It's like, if you were to suction any part of your body and it starts to like pulse and like kind of ache. I felt that like in my cervix the whole time I had the Diva Cup in, and so I decided I used it a couple times and I just was like, this is maybe just not for me anymore. So I loved it when I used it, and I might consider trying it again. I have since had my IUD out. But yeah, but it's a great option. Really, really super safe. But yeah, what I use now, so another option that you have to standard, more commercial, I guess you want to say, tampons and stuff is all natural organic tampons. So this is the brand that I use, Natracare, and so they are just organic cotton tampons, and they also make pads, and I actually much prefer using the pads. I wear the pads most of the time. I use like maybe 1 or 2 of these a period, only on like heavier days. They're great. They are really natural, and so there's hardly any, I don't think there's any risk of like toxic shock and stuff like that, because they don't have the same chemicals in them. They don't have an applicator, which is actually better and more holistic. And this is one of the reasons Sarah really doesn't like them, because then you have to touch the cotton and be holding the cotton and putting it up and all your business. They also don't, they say that you can keep it in for 8 hours. My experience with them is that is not the case. My experience with them is like after 4 hours, on a heavy day, they need to be switched out, just because they get like heavy. And like I've never had a synthetic tampon. Like I never really felt it, or I never felt it like fall out until I was like pulling it out. These guys, I've had them like literally, I'm like, I can feel this slipping out. So they definitely don't have the same level of absorption, but way, way, way safer, because your yoni is so porous. It's so absorbative. Is that a word? It absorbs everything. It's like a little sponge. And so the cleaner, the more holistic, the more natural the products that you put in there, the better it is for your overall health. It won't go right into your bloodstream. So that's why I choose to use these, even though I don't find them quite as effective as when I used synthetic tampons, but I think they're better for my body. So that's what I use now. But yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we talked on menstrual cups. We both have tried the Diva Cup. There are other brands of menstrual cups that you can get. I think the Diva Cup is definitely like, you can buy it now at Walmart, you can buy it at Shoppers, you can buy it almost at any grocery store. So it's probably the most popular. Glad Rags is a brand that we found, and they have reusable panty liners and pads and period panties, and they also offer a menstrual cup. I haven't personally tried their menstrual cup, but I'm going to, because it has a much longer spout than the Diva Cup. So yeah.
Easier to.
So like I said earlier, when you're trying to get out the Diva Cup, sometimes it can be really hard to grab on to the little end of it. So if you've never seen a menstrual cup before, sorry, we don't have one to show you today, but it's a cup, and then at the bottom of the cup, there's a little tiny piece of plastic.
It's like a tail.
Yeah, like that you can sort of grab onto. And the one for the Diva Cups are really, really quite small. And the one on the Glad Rags cup is actually longer, and there's 3 different almost like circle pillars on the pole that you can grab onto. So if you grab one, you'll be able to pull it out. So that looks really great.
One thing I want to say about that, the purpose of the string is really the string or the tail is to find it and pull it down a little bit further in the canal, but like actually it's suctioned, like we said, it's suctioned to your cervix. So pulling it down actually causes a lot of stress on those tissues. And so the point is actually to pull it down a little bit in the vaginal canal, but the best way to actually get them out is to find the bottom of the cup once it's down low enough and pinch it, so that when you pinch it, it breaks that suction and you can kind of twist and pull it out. Like you break the suction and then twist and pull it out. If you just pull right down on that string, it'll work, but it's just it creates a lot more stress on the cervix, and we love our cervix and we don't want to cause her undue stress.
Yeah, so it helps you get the cup down long enough, because also it's really hard to grab the cup when it's inside your vagina. So you get it down out low enough, you grab the cup, you pinch it, you pull it out. But Glad Rags, their cup has a much longer tail. So that looks really great. And then they also have a huge variety of reusable pads, which looks super, super awesome. So
this isn't a Glad Rags pad. This is a Luna pad.
Yeah.
Which is that's our local one, right?
Yes.
So they're local Vancouver company.
From Vancouver.
Luna pads.
So these are little pads. You can get
So
you can get pads for when your period's a little bit more heavy. You can also get panty liners for the end of your period as well. They're reusable, so it's great. So the investment is maybe $15 a pad, which seems pretty expensive, but these things can last up to 5 years if you care for them properly. So you'll use it after it's used, you'll rinse it off, you'll soak it, and then you will wash in cold water, and then you'll want to store it flat. And they will last a really long time. And just like a menstrual cup can last for a long time too if you take proper care of it. But I mean, I don't really see how you can completely destroy it, because you're not going to want to leave it in for too long anyways. You're going to want to treat it like a normal pad. So
yeah, soak it in cold water, then you can throw these in your washing machine. They can wash in actual hot water to like get rid of it, but the first soak you want to do in cold to get to reduce staining. But yeah, so these are lovely. They're cotton, so they're like more natural material. And again, this is something that's not going up and inside the vaginal canal, so much less invasive, and there's much less risk of anything being absorbed into the bloodstream because it's not going anywhere inside your body.
And also zero waste.
Zero waste!
Zero waste.
Yay! Do you want to say anything else about the Luna pads before we talk about our next one?
So sometimes for me with my menstrual cup on the first day, sometimes it's a little bit harder for me to insert it, or because my flow is a little bit heavier. And if you do insert your cup properly, there should be no overflow. If you don't insert it properly, you might get a little bit of like spotting or blood that kind of will come out. So every once in a while, I'll wear a panty liner on the first day or two of my cycle along with my Diva cup. And having one of these, maybe not even one this thick, but just having like a lighter one to pair with your menstrual cup could be really, really amazing. So you could probably even keep it in for a while, and then it's just sort of rinse it and wash it, and then you'll be good to go.
Yeah.
And then, so yeah, definitely try a reusable pad if you haven't already.
Yeah.
Just like groping your pad down.
It's okay. That one's a new one, so I haven't actually used it. So, but it'll go, and I'll wash it before I use it. So that's good.
And then I think the last thing that we're going to touch on, you can also get organic cotton pads as well. So you can buy organic cotton pads.
They're very thick. I wear them all the time. I love them. I'm sorry. And they're the most diaper-like thing I've ever felt. Like I can't wear tight pants when I wear them. I wear like baggy pants, like kind of not baggy, but just like not fitted, like kind of like these ones that I'm wearing now. These are the pants that I would wear when I am wearing a cotton pad, because they are like, they're beefy.
Are you wearing one right now?
And they do the trick. No, I'm not. Period is coming, but she's not here yet. I can tell because I can feel it in my boobs. But anyways, period underwear. This is what this is. This is why I'm holding it up. Period underwear. This brand of period underwear that I'm specifically holding is Thinx. This is newer. Like I feel like it's been the last like couple of years. It's been like on fire in the menstrual market, and it's just been really taking off. I have it. This is mine. This is one of my pairs. I have 3 pairs. And I love the idea. So I'm going to be really honest here. Love the idea. I think it's fantastic. Sarah has some different information about them that she was telling me about just this morning, actually, where she heard that menstrual underwear is actually not supposed to be worn during like your heaviest days.
Yeah. So I read, and maybe this was because one of the companies I was looking into, they offer period underwear, and they suggest wearing it either to sleep or on your lighter period days, not so much on your heavy bleeds. They would opt to maybe put one of these inside your period underwear as well.
Yeah, because my experience with these was actually not, I romanticized the idea. I was like, this is great. I love this idea. And then it didn't work out the way I was planning, because like I said, I just use cotton and tampons now. Because I bought a couple pairs, and the way that these ones were advertised was that you can wear them on your heavy days. You can wear them just all the time. They should be able to hold up to 8 hours of blood. So I did that, and it does have special fibers that are supposed to wick away moisture. So they wick away moisture from the skin, and they protect your clothing. And I didn't have any leaking with them, but it was damp. It was not my experience with them. So honestly, every single time I use them, I probably used them for about 6 months, and it took me a while to actually figure out what was happening. But I started getting yeast infections like every time when I was finished my period. Not really, really bad, like internal, like with all the discharge, but they were more like on my vulva. I went to the doctor, and he said it's like a baby yeast infection, sort of between the outer and the inner lips. so raw and red and just like, oh, it's so tender and it did not feel good. And it took me a while to figure it out, but it was anytime I was wearing these, and it was after every period. And so I got into, and since I stopped using them, I haven't had an issue. So, because yes, they wick away moisture, but your period is not like water. It's not water, it's thicker. And so every time I'd go to the washroom, and then I'd pull it up and you'd like be like, it's supposed to be dry, but you'd pull it up and it'd be like a little bit cool, you know? And I'd be like, so it's like sitting in a wet bathing suit all day, which my mother told me not to do. It's not good for your vagina to sit in a wet bathing suit all day. And that's kind of what this experience was like for me. If anybody has tried any period underwear that this has not been the case, or is like better, or maybe I'm using them wrong, I don't know if there's other ways to use them, I don't really know. But my experience, yeah, it was it wasn't the best. And maybe I think it's such a new technology, and it's maybe still evolving. And if there's ever I want to be able to do something like this, and my vagina health was being compromised, and that's not okay with me. So,
because if it stays moist, that's a breeding ground for bacteria. And if you watch my yeast infections video, or if you watch my video that I'm posting on Friday all about 3 reasons why I think you should stay away from tampons, keeping something wet in your panties all day, that's a breeding ground for unwanted bacteria, which can lead to yeast infections or bacterial vaginosis as well.
Yeah.
So I've never personally tried the period panties. I think they would be great for sleeping, honestly, just like throw on a baggy t-shirt and your period panties and you're good to go. But I've never actually tried them for myself.
By the end, like the last few months, I was like, I'll just wear them at night. But I think by then the damage had been done, and then my vagina was just being extra sensitive. So anytime I wore them, they were just...
It knew.
It was just like, because they're tight, which is great, which is what I loved about them. They fit like regular undies. I'm like, this is so great. They just are nice and smooth. I didn't have to wear baggy pants. But because they're so tight, it's like, it's like this little vacuum seal. It hugs everything like right up against your vulva, and it's a little bit, there's not a lot of air getting in there. And again, my mother taught me that especially at nighttime, you're not supposed to sleep with underwear. You need to let your vagina breathe. That's Nancy rules. If that's my mom. Anyways, that's all I have to say about period underwear. Love the idea. If it works for you, great. I think it's a wonderful alternative. There's nothing going up inside the vaginal canal. They're safer materials and everything like that. Not nearly as much exposure to toxins. And my experience is that hygienically it hasn't been my most ideal product to use for my menstruation. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say?
I think I kind of covered all of my bases. If you guys have any alternatives that you use, let us know. We would love to hear them. We're definitely open to learning some new things that we don't already know about. If you have any, and if you liked this video, let us know. Give us a thumbs up, and make sure you tune in on Friday where I give you my top 3 reasons on why we should stay away from conventional tampons and pads. And I talk about some of the chemicals and herbicides that you might find in those products.
We'll include in the description below when we post this, not as a live, just as a regular video, we'll include the some of the links to like the Glad rags and the Luna, some of the products that we've talked about. We'll include them in the description below. But basically we talked about, like reusable pads, period underwear, menstrual cups, and then all natural and organic like tampons and pads.
Yes.
Those are probably our big 4 that we think are awesome.
Cool.
Yeah. Any questions or anything that anybody I'd like to, that's questions. You just need to stop talking sometimes.
All right. If you have any, drop them in the comments below. We do our best to monitor our comments. And again, if you ever have any questions, you can shoot us an email at eatsquatcome@gmail.com, and we'll do our very best to answer them and get back to you. And that's basically it for today, guys. We will see you for our next live in 2 weeks. We do them every alternating Wednesday.
Yeah, we haven't picked a topic yet. So if you have a suggestion for a topic that you want to see, always let us know. We can try to work that into a video or a live anytime. But yeah.
And thanks so much for everyone who watched today and showed us some love. To everyone, hi YouTube friends.
Thanks for joining us.
And yeah, have a great rest
Instagram friends.
Instagram friends.
Awesome. We're
all right.
Trouble. All right.
Take care, guys.
Bye. Bye.